For one night only. The road to redemption can sometimes be a dangerous one. Written by Anne Brooke. Narrated by Everett Sterling. Jake sat at the bar of Langley's pleasure house and nursed his glass, whiskey neat. In the soft lights, he could see the faint gleam of the drink where he swirled it around before taking yet another much-needed swig. He'd been sitting here for a while, maybe 3/4 of an hour or so, but he didn't mind. It was early yet, and he wanted to take his time, particularly as the company he was expecting wouldn't be the usual. It couldn't be. The whiskey tasted like bitter honey. It gave him an edge. That was good, as it was the kind of edge that made him feel freer. He wanted that, too. No, he needed it, so he drained the glass with something approaching regret. "Another, sir?" The barman's voice eased into his consciousness like water gliding over a rock, and he nodded. "Thank you." As he waited for his refill to arrive, he scanned the bar area once more. He saw several doms with their subs, most of these in relationships, if only for now. Near them, he spied a few scene tourists, although the place was beginning to fill up with more. Still, for the moment, the bar was a relaxing, easy place to be in with its rich red carpet and dark wooden furnishings. And until he saw the man he was expecting, Jake was perfectly happy to spend time here. Its almost club atmosphere was a key ingredient Langley, who owned the place, hence the name, had set out to achieve, and he'd more than succeeded. Jake could only admire such dedication to the pursuit of pleasure. It was a creed he'd lived by himself, at least until recently. Even as his thoughts mulled over such matters, a hint of elegant spices drifted over him, and he half turned on the bar stool to see the man himself at his side. Langley, a successful figure in his late 30s, only a little older than Jake. His dark blonde hair was smoothed down, and his green eyes sparkled. Tonight, the establishment owner was dressed in a designer suit in light gray, and a cravat a couple of shades darker. As elegant as always. Langley kept dress standards in the club easy on the eye. "Mr. Morrison." Langley nodded at him, and Jake pushed back his brown hair as the club owner perched himself on the nearest stool. "Good to see you with us tonight." Jake waited as the barman delivered Langley's drinks to him. He smiled briefly to see the familiar choice, a crisp champagne accompanied by a glass of chilled water. Some things never change. Even though the music from the sound system floated around them, it was still early enough for conversation to be possible, but Jake was glad Langley remained silent. He didn't want to have to answer questions just yet, though he knew they'd arise soon, and Langley seemed to understand. Jake was only glad he was allowed to remain here, in what had once been his sanctuary. So he continued to drink, gaze around the interior and appreciate that, despite everything that had taken place in recent months, he hadn't been left alone. His memories were what frightened him most. Finally, Langley broke the silence between them as Jake had known he would. "How are you doing?" Langley asked. There was concern in his words, and also a steely kind of firmness, enough to make the barman glance once at his boss and move away, heading for another man waiting his turn at the end of the bar. "Well enough," Jake said, "under the circumstances." "That's good, under the circumstances," was the succinct reply. There was so much more Jake could have said, the words lurking on the edge of his tongue, but he didn't know how in the world he could say them. Langley sighed and finished off his champagne. Then he rose to his feet. "My office, I think," he said. It wasn't an order, more like a polite request. A concession, then, to Jake's Dom status, or former status. But either way, Jake wasn't stupid enough to think he would get away with refusing to follow the club owner.